What is up, YouTube, DTube, Steam Blockchain? So today I checked out a conversation between Elon Musk and Jack Ma, and they were talking on an artificial intelligence conference, and it's around a 40 to 50-minute long video. And I checked out the comments on the video, and I sort of feel that a lot of people kind of miss they sort of got misinterpreted Jack Ma's views, where almost everyone was on Elon Musk's side, and I just looked at this conversation between these two folks, and I had a way more. I could see it from both the sides. I can see it in the both perspectives, and I saw how both are basically trying to, or both are talking from their own unique experience. And I want to also talk from my own unique experience, and I want to tie it into this video how I think that eventually humans, and that my experience, of course, is I've been doing videos on YouTube, almost 9,000 videos, been using smartphones very long time, and doing these videos on YouTube and using technology to be a more creative human. You have sort of like an interesting perspective on this conversation of, let's say, artificial intelligence compared to human intelligence, let's say natural intelligence. And okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. So the thing that I sort of feel that everyone is sort of getting wrong is that the first thing is that many people have got it wrong, that they think that memory is basically intelligence. So something that humans have done for a couple of generations now, where they have done this mistake of thinking just memory is intelligence. And if someone read a book a little bit ahead of you, then they are intelligent because they can say a quote, or they can say something. They can look smart because they can say some words. And it's unfortunate that this has happened, that humans look at that, like the way the human mind is now looking at intelligence is someone has more memory than you, or someone can say a few more words than you, or someone can sort of complicate things. Then like if you can make something sound like complicated, then oh, that person must be intelligent. While actually true intelligence would be to be able to see everyone's sides and making stuff simple. So humans are sort of in this mode where they're still obsessed about memory, the memory that they've gathered about the world and stuff like that, and looking at that as intelligence, while it's not actually intelligence. It's just memory. Memory is useful, but it's not really intelligence. So the way people are looking at this AI thing. So the first thing is, of course, artificial intelligence. So humans have got it wrong. This idea that, okay, first of all, that they think that memory is intelligence, while memory is just one aspect of life. And then you also have this other thing where people think either that everything has to fit into a logical framework, like a computer, or that everything has to fit inside of the intellect framework. So intelligence has many dimensions. The intellect tool is like a sharp knife. It's a cutting tool. It can only slice things up and try to look at the parts. And maybe some of that memory is useful, but many times that just complicates stuff even more. And the intellect tool, it can only dissect. Like, it wants to be sharp, it wants to dissect everything, but many aspects, many aspects of life and intelligence, you're not really supposed to dissect them. You're not really supposed to slice them up. So I give an example. If, let's say, humans, the way humans are looking at it right now is like this. They're looking at the flower. Let's say they're looking at the flower, and they're using their intellect, and they're using logic, and they're using their memory, and they try to understand the flower factually or logically, or they try to analyze the flower, and they try to dissect it. Let's say they cut it up, the flower, and they sort of want to know what it is, but they're never really going to know what it is, because now they destroyed it. Now it does not exist anymore. Now it's just cut up in different pieces, and now it looks even more messy, because now you have all these pieces, and then you try to sort of put it together or try to understand it, but then you kind of cut it up again. And this is what humans, many what humans are doing now, when they're trying to put everything, the whole existence, in 100% logic, in 100% factually, and everything 100% intellectually. They think that the whole existence is going to fit into, they think that the whole existence is going to fit into a logical framework or into their intellect. They think that they're going to fit the whole existence, the whole world, inside of the intellect-based tool that is used. They just wants to complicate things. They just, like, it's not the thing is, this is a tool which is useful for survival, but it's not useful for knowing life. It's not useful for true intelligence, which a person has to experience themselves. And because it's like, it's just the wrong tool. It's not the right tool to know life with. And humans are sort of trying to understand life now with the logic tool or with the intellect tool. This, in many ways, they try to understand a human with their intellect, while you're never really gonna know a human if you try to dissect them. If you try to, like, super go into analyze them, you're probably gonna see things the wrong way. And humans are probably gonna become more eventually aware of this. For example, most people, they cannot see two people and be able to see both people's perspective. So, for example, Jack Ma was talking a lot about that maybe there should be more focus on Earth right now, and that the artificial intelligence stuff, that it's only going to be good because clearly it's a creation that humans did. Like, it's just that, it's just like with the tools that humans have. So humans have smartphones, humans have other tools in the world, humans have the intellect tool. It's useful, right? It's useful. It's stuff that humans kind of imagine in their mind, and then it's sort of manifested in some way. And that's the same thing with artificial intelligence and stuff like that, that it's like, it's something that humans basically manifested, and it's useful, okay? But it also means that humans, users with the intellect tool, they will need to learn how to hold it. So they need to learn, they need to have an awareness for how the logical mind works, and that the logical mind cannot grasp the whole existence. You cannot fit the whole existence into a logical framework. So humans have to master holding their tools. The same way they should learn to master to hold, for example, their smartphone, or other areas of their life, other tools in their life. They should learn how to use tools, and just do many things in life, just not to try to use exactly everything for their own benefit, but try to see how they can sort of fit into the existence, and more see it as a inclusive inclusive puzzle that is not split up in many parts. That means that humans in many ways have to understand and try to experience where other people are coming from, or what kind of experience they have. It means that humans need to sort of in many ways have awareness for that other people have. Every person has their five senses and their own sort of experiences that they have gathered, and they have to understand that this is very limited data compared to data that other people are sitting on, or the whole sort of creation of data, like the amount of data that exists everywhere and memory that exists everywhere, and that sitting on so little of data that humans are doing, it's humans should, they need to like get a more bigger awareness for that. And it's very interesting, these people should know also the, yeah, especially the limitations that these tools that humans are using, uh, they have their limits, and humans need to sort of understand sort of where those sort of limits go. And you are going to have, you're going to have many people from many people that are going to try to play out, let's say, duality, where they sort of want to have, they sort of want to pick a team. Either they want to be on, let's say, team that or the other team, while reality is more nuanced and you don't really have to have a team. You only have to look at things and see things the way they are. And if you really look at stuff just the way they are, then you can really see that people are really trying their best. They are trying to sort of understand things, and the human experience sort of here is to try to grasp the existence and sort of try to understand how things are working. And one big thing is, as I said, I mean, humans have mainly focused on, right now, humans are very focused on just technology, and thinking that is sort of everything. And that is also why humans are sort of looking at everything in many ways in logic and intellect. And the intellect is just gonna focus on survival, because I mean that's what the intellect is good at. So it's just going to see, it's not going to see life as an inclusive thing. It's more going to see it as, it's going to look for dangers. And yeah, it's basically only going to do those things. And in a logical framework, sure, that is sort of good, right? Like logically, it makes sense, because if you really look logically at the existence, then sort of everything is like dangerous. Like almost every moment is like dangerous. And but then, I mean, if you really look at it in some other ways, you can also see that everything in many ways is a miracle. Because if you just look at the chance of a human sitting here and doing a video, I mean, what is the chance of that? That is kind of like a miracle already. So, and then it's like, okay, but if intelligence was so smart that it created this level of thing, then why would the artificial intelligence be be bad, right? Is if it's like, if it's just another tool, just as all the other tools that we have, why would it sort of be bad? Like it's all about how humans are holding the tools, right? It's not that the technology itself is is having a life of its own. It really comes down, everything is then eventually is all about humans and sort of how they are using tools. So I think there's a little bit too much focus on, for example, on the technology itself. I think in many ways humans are sort of trying to look at this this artificial intelligence thing as it has a life of its own, but it doesn't really. It's just computer stuff. It can only operate in a logical framework. It can only operate in a logical framework. So knowing that, we know that it's going to do everything that humans did intellectually, all the memory stuff, all of that, a human doesn't really have to worry about, because it's everything is going to be done either way by the artificial intelligence. Like it's going to do all of those things, and humans just don't have to do it anymore. And that's going to be great, because it just increases humans' awareness even more that, well, uh, it's good that I don't have to do all the memory stuff anymore. It's great, because that just means that you are on a holiday. You are on a holiday, and that's kind of cool. Uh, because we didn't really do anything magical. We didn't do anything, or we haven't really done anything magical with memory itself. A person knows when they truly tap into true intelligence, and it's kind of cool. Right? Like it's a personal experience, right? Um, so it's interesting. Every person has sort of their own human sort of genius, and it's just that people need to see how, if everyone just do what they're good at, then eventually humans move forward. They and and that's why stuff is going forward. Um, we did not have smartphones 100 years ago, did not have this advanced technology 100 years ago. So the reason why these stuff are kind of hard to talk about, uh, it's hard because it's very hard to use, because you have to use, like you have to use the logic tool, and you have to use limited memory. Like I have to use my limited memory to basically do this video, and you have to use this tool, which is not really the right tool, and eventually humans are going to realize, especially the limitations. And it's going to be good when humans realize the limitations of certain tools, because then eventually they're going to seek for a better tool. And that's like, it's going to be a personal seeking experience a person has to do themselves, uh, a personal experience with real intelligence and not just intellect based stuff, that is going to is going to be like exploring a new dimension. And just because humans sort of has been in this dimension for so long, that memory is equal to intelligence, just because they've been in that mode for so long, like this survival mode, it makes them feel in many ways as there is nothing else to sort of perceive in this whole existence. But as more humans will have free time, they're gonna sort of start to look at it more from the perspectives of, instead of trying to sort of look at this technology as this is like super dangerous, they're gonna sort of move more towards, how can you make relationships with different humans more pleasant? How can you make people explore their own human genius and let it flower in some sort of way, where they are sort of exploring some kind of their own truth and their own experience. And you can sort of see people doing this, and you sort of see their limitations in some stuff, but it's quite pleasurable to sort of see them sort of evolve and sort of try, and that's the key thing, that they're trying something on a daily basis maybe, and you can sort of see, you don't really know exactly what's going on, but you can sort of see that life has its process, and that it sort of is doing something, and that a human is not a done thing. They are always moving into something new. Just as I have, if you look at new smartphones, if you look at this evolution, you can sort of see, and if you really pay attention closely to new phones and new kind of cool experiences with new phones, you see that they are enhancing your life. Because it is a tool, and it is getting a little bit better every year, because there's a lot of brands and companies involved in this industry, and they're sort of learning from each other. And this is the same way artificial intelligence is going to work. It's going to be an amazing tool for humans to free themselves up. And if they have a great idea, then they don't have to do so much stuff manually. Humans have to do so much stuff manually now that the AI can do. If you want to build something and stuff like that, you just tell it to your AI, and it can sort of go and do some research and data, and it's just going to help humans. It's just going to help humans do things in a better way. And humans do not have to do the memory based stuff anymore. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. uh they still of course have memory. I mean, they're going to have this, but they don't have to be so identified with the memory, because the memory is basically already old. All the data or all the memory a person has is already old. uh so you sort of want to have, fresh possibilities happen. You want something fresh to sort of happen, and that's never going to basically happen from memory. So it can create this very fresh experience when the artificial intelligence is doing all the memory. And if a person just has a little bit of distance from the intellect tool, the logic tool, and the memory stuff, and just looks at it from a little bit of space or from a little bit of distance, then they basically can see that, okay, these are some tools, we can sort of use them, and we are going to use them. But you don't have to, you don't have to like exploit the whole creation and everything, because it's like most of the stuff, if a person becomes sort of receptive to life, then most of the stuff will happen as it should. Like life will sort of, life, like most of the stuff in a person's life, it is already sort of being like, it's being taken care of, like many things. If a person is quite attentive, they can see that their body is sort of working great. They probably have great tools. They probably have a bed to sleep in and all this. Their intelligence is on. Like intelligence is on, and if creation is sort of is intelligence, then that means that you're gonna have a lot of these interesting tools pop up that's basically gonna help humans to explore stuff. So it's interesting how Jack Ma is talking more about this, and I love this aspect that he is basically talking that it's something with humans. It's some sort of creative thing with humans that the logic and the AI will never really figure out. It cannot really figure out creation. It cannot figure out the creative aspect, like what makes humans tick, what sort of makes some humans attracted to other humans. The AI can sort of try to do this artificially, but it will never really understand it deeper, because it's not really life. So it's going to be interesting tools. It's going to be interesting tools, but I think that many people that have used a lot of advanced technology, they they see that humans are sort of, they are figuring stuff out, that yeah, this is just tools. And the humans sort of realize in many ways that they want the human connection. They want some form of connection, and uh, and that's something that artificial intelligence never really will understand. uh, it, Artificial intelligence is going to be great. It's going to free people up, But some people may be too identified with artificial intelligence, um, because it's going to take away a lot of stuff that people are doing right now. There's not going to be any. We're not going to be impressed by humans that are intellectual, probably because we're gonna see it very clear, the limitations, and we're gonna be more impressed by humans that are exploring other dimensions of life, which is basically beyond survival, and humans doing their own sort of creative genius. So Jack Ma was talking a lot about humans exploring their own sort of genius, being artists, being creative people. I love that because and that there's something with human heart that is really really fascinating, that you can't put into logic. You cannot put it into the intellect tool, and the artificial intelligence will never understand it. It will never understand the heart. It will never understand like the creative aspect, like what truly makes humans tick, and that's something that's going to be kind of interesting. So the scientists and the physicists and a lot of these, they are going to run into limitations where they're going to realize. I think you already are there with exploring atoms and stuff like that, where they sort of going to eventually have to move into this dimension, which is not really physical, because and that is really when the tools that they are using, they're going to start to see the limitations of them, and then they have to do their own sort of exploration of what is really going on here. It's nice how humans are starting to think. I love it. Like, I love that, for example, with the internet, that you can now see conversations. Elon Musk, which is a genius, of course, uh, and seeing Elon Musk and Jack Ma talking, I mean, it's fascinating. It's interesting to see a lot of podcasts where they are 2 to 3 hours long. You can really get a lot of data, and a lot of it is mainly used right now about absorbing data and taking in people's viewpoints, but not have to go with or have to pick a side, because if humans truly are thinking, they should be able to see it as a diplomat. They should be able to understand where both are coming from. So I see it. I see the Elon Musk perspective of yeah, the intellect stuff. He's right. I mean, the intellect stuff is going. The artificial intelligence can do that way better. And at the same time, I'm seeing the other perspective with Jack Ma, the creative aspect. So don't have to pick any sides. Don't have to pick any sides, because both have their truths and both have observed different things. They have their own experiences of life, and nobody can really grasp every experience. And people don't really have to. They don't really have to do everything themselves. They can learn a lot from other people. But the most beautiful aspect is going to be when humans sort of when they connect, and when they are inclusive, and when humans truly explore their own genius, and in many ways they can get excited when they sort of figure it out. For example, that they when they realize, when they have awareness for the limitations of the logic and the intellect tool, then they're gonna go and see if they're like how do they go to the next level and stuff like that. And that's the same thing with the physicists and the developers and stuff like that. They are going to eventually run into walls or challenges, and then they're going to have to find other ways to get to something. So there are so many tools in this whole creation or existence, and people want to dive into different things, right? So there's like limitless ways of exploring stuff in this existence, and people want to have different experiences. And so it's this whole creation, this whole life creation, it has given humans a lot of freedom to dive into whatever it is that they find super exciting. And some people may want to focus on some career thing. Some other people, for example, right now, a lot of people feel it's very liberating to use the intellect tool and to sort of have like to have arguments and stuff like that, and they feel very liberated because they feel like they're breaking some kind of, they're moving to some next sort of level because maybe they didn't do that a few years ago, but eventually they're also going to realize the limitations of that, that if humans really want to move to the next level, they have to sort of actually connect and have these new inclusive systems as we have with the blockchain systems, the token systems, where humans are just more connected. Like they're really more connected, and they have to use their brain more. That's super cool. The proof of brain stuff with this blockchain stuff, it forces people to sort of have to evolve. Like they have to sort of evolve. They can't afford to not evolve. They have to consciously look at stuff and consider it, and really use their own intelligence, not just using group think, because group think, while it can be good, it's not really that great in terms of when people truly needs to evolve, then groupthink can sort of hold people back a lot. And for the existence, like 1,000 years here and there, slow down, is probably not a big deal, right? But humans, they're used here 100 years. They want to dive, they want to know everything, right? They want to explore all that they can while they're sort of here. And we have 100 years for that, max. So it's kind of cool. You should check out this sort of debate. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of these, and I never like pick sides. I always look at, I love Jack Ma, I love Elon Musk. I'm just taking people in. Like I'm taking their own perspectives in, and then I consider it, and and what I basically do is many times just because I'm very aware how the intellect works and the logical tool works. I always look at, okay, does this person have any new memory? Have they perceived something new, something super original? Many times they have not really done that. So you can sort of start to see the sort of patterns where, well, I've heard this many, many times before, many, many years earlier even, and you can sort of start to see patterns in limitations. So and that's why it's so cool uh, to hear from different people. So, like some people with more wisdom, where it sounds like they're super non-logical because they have more wisdom, and maybe they're laughing, maybe they're telling jokes. Well, you can't tell jokes. You have to be super dead serious all the time. uh, but yeah, it's like, if you really look at the existence, and I love logic, but the whole existence and life, it does not fit into a logical framework. Like it's illogical. It does not compute. Uh, so great. It's great that we have all these different tools, and that humans can do different things, and that humans also they need to have like, they need to learn to have willingness to sort of seeing other people and looking at what they're doing, and sort of try to sort of help them a little bit. And if someone is being helped a little bit daily or something like that, eventually they're going to get somewhere, right? We don't really know where they're going to get, we don't know where they're going, but we know that they're going forward. Okay, they are doing something, and as long as they're doing something, and they're happy, they're joyful, they're going to get somewhere. Who knows where they're going to get, but it's going to lead somewhere, right? So people have their own, it's like they're here to have like experiences and learn. And people have very, very unique experiences, like super nuanced experiences, like stuff you would never be able to you will never be able to explain this with AI. Like, what is a person, like their own personal experiences? You will never be able to put this in logic, or like, you know, you can only grab like super surface layer stuff. But the whole language of creation, so we have all these languages, money, languages that we invented, language that talk right now. It's just sounds. Like, I'm just making sounds, and humans are basically making up the meanings. So it's not just that you're talking a language, but that people are making up their own meanings in their own head of what something means. So there's a lot of stuff that is involved in language, and humans in many ways they've sort of been a bit non-aware of that, like how sophisticated language are and how nuanced they can be, and how easy it is to misrepresent something, or not having the awareness of how different life is for different people. Because yeah, so a lot of stuff that I talked a little bit about in this video, uh yeah, it's kind of cool. And people should know, people should especially know that it's mainly a lot about this awareness. And also that if a person don't know anything, that's a tremendous possibility, because it can basically open up the door that they actually start to pay attention. Because if they have a full-scale realization that they don't really know anything, then their intelligence is going to be on all the time. Like, it's going to be super perceptive. It's going to absorb stuff, and they're going to be very willing to sort of consider things. And then they're probably eventually going to realize, or they're going to see a lot of systems in nature and see how a lot of stuff that humans have cooked up in their mind, that's just something that they cooked up. And the next generation, they don't even have that. Like, they don't even have the memory of that, because they didn't absorb it. They weren't there. So humor and laughter and stuff like that, it's a big part basically in living life. Because it's like, it is quite it's quite humorous when you actually look at the creation and seeing all the contradictions and paradoxes. And yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that in this video. You should go watch it. And yeah, almost every AI conversation I'm seeing these days, I don't hear anything new. It's always the same, and people always want to usually pick a side, or they want to use groupthink. And it's almost like they want some stable path. They want to hear something. They want to get fed something. Something that sounds like it's going to work out amazing and stuff like that. Well, actually, we don't really know, right? We don't really know. Like, a person, when they're here, they should probably explore stuff for themselves, dive deep into stuff, and see what comes up. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, DTube and the Steam blockchain. Bye bye.